What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. As you guys can tell by the title, does Floyd Mayweather have Napoleon Complex? And for those of you guys who don't know, Napoleon Complex is basically stipulating guys that are shorter and then they try to overcompensate or make up in power. Or I know, like in California, at least Northern California, some short, like really small dudes get into these big ass raised trucks and stuff like that. It's like they're trying to overcompensate for the fact that they're short or something. Or when I went to the gun range, when I went to the shooting range, this dude was like, he had to be literally like probably 5'1", 5'2", like a Kevin Hart build. And we're just shooting around in the lane next to him. He came in, one gun, hella bullets, and it was a Desert Eagle. And if you guys know anything about guns and pistols, Desert Eagle's like a pretty hefty size gun for a handgun, and they're pretty powerful. So the dude was shooting it, and he couldn't even control the kickback. Like, it was like kicking him back. It was just bad. So the reason I bring it up in relations to Floyd Mayweather is because we still have not heard who his May opponent's going to be. We could speculate. Amir Khan says it's not him, so that's his opinion. But we all know, really, anyone under the sun, if they're selected for a Mayweather payday, the Mayweather lottery, they're going to sign on the dotted line. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't want to fight him. I mean, just for the paycheck alone, most fighters would fight and have that fight for the exposure and whatever, and for the opportunity. So, Khan doesn't think it's him anymore, so he's like upset, which is what I've documented, kind of talked about in a couple previous videos I did the last couple of days. And I blame a lot of that on him because again, he let his career be put on hold for a person like Mayweather. And I've also said this: Mayweather has showed time and time again that sometimes his arguments lack consistency. Sometimes he says stuff to take jabs at the media or to lead people astray, throw the dogs off the scent, if you will. He did it in the fight with, I think it was Robert Guerrero. It was either Guerrero or Canelo. I think it was Guerrero, though. And no one knew who he was going to fight. It didn't take this long, though. We were wondering who he was going to fight because he was like, he was out of jail, and it was a turning point in his life, if you will. He went to the jail, and he was in jail for the plea bargain that he got, and that was after the Cotto fight. And he was really, if you guys remember, he was really low key in the few select interviews that he did do. He was just acting really humble, like, yeah, I wish Pacquiao the best, and he was just being really humble and almost like a reformed, changed man. Like, jail did something to alter his personality. He wasn't really flashy and cocky and arrogant. So I don't know if the jail shit wore off, but he seems to be back to regular Mayweather. Recently, he's called Pacquiao a desperate dog. Said he's desperate to fight me, and he had his chance. And, you know what I mean, more the Mayweather that we're used to. Now, in the Guerrero fight, I believe it was, he announced via Twitter, via his affirmed official Twitter, that Devin Alexander was the front runner for his opponent in May. And people were furious. They're like, fuck, Devin Alexander! Like, you cherry picker! Like, they were pissed off that the opponent would be Devin Alexander. And obviously, I don't think Floyd had any intentions of actually fighting Devin Alexander, yet he threw that out there just to throw people off the scent from who he was really selecting, or fuck with people, or whatever reason. And he does stuff like this from time to time. A lot of times in the fight buildup, he kind of plays these psychological mind games with his opponent. And Robert Guerrero fight, I mean, I don't know if this was solely him, but this is just something I noticed. Like in the Guerrero fight, if you look at all the other fights, there was a buildup. Maybe because they were bigger stars, but Mayweather had Guerrero, who had never been on this plateau. Like, he had never been to this level, this pinnacle of boxing where he was getting this much exposure pre-fight. Like, if you watch go to YouTube and then type in Robert Guerrero versus Andre Berto and see how much pre-fight interviews, pre-fight like anything, like guest appearances on shows you see with Robert Guerrero. Then type in Mayweather Guerrero, and I guarantee you'll find a lot more. He was on this like this Bible Holy Channel or something. He was doing the press conference. Ellie Seckback had a bunch of videos like he normally does of him. So he got a lot more exposure. He was doing more interviews and whatnot. And Mayweather let him, or Golden Boy, or whatever, however it was decided. But all I know was Guerrero pretty much did the press conference to the face. He did it by himself. So maybe to overwhelm Guerrero, and then Guerrero had the gun case, so it just went all down there for Guerrero from a mental standpoint. But he was the mandatory. Floyd took it and did what he did in that fight. So this is nothing new to me. I'm not accustomed to waiting this long when his fight is just right around the corner. Like we're like kicking the gate of March right now. Like we're right on like March time. It's almost March, and we still don't know he's fighting in May, which is really weird. And it kind of lets you know the limited amount of options. Not that he can't fight anyone. I mean, anyone has a puncher's chance. Anyone he could fight, but realistic fights, like you have to take Danny Garcia, who's a viable opponent, take him out of the equation because he's fighting Mauricio Herrera. You got to take a lot of guys out of the equation. Cotto, Sergio Martinez. So it's not like you could do a rematch with them. They're doing their thing in June, and we're just waiting on Mayweather. Like he doesn't really have that many viable options that will actually sell. Like Keith Thurman, I think that's a hell of a fight, and I think Keith Thurman is possibly one of the guys that can challenge him. He shows good boxing poise. He looks like he's an improving fighter from fight to fight. He obviously has the power. Could be a good fight. Someone who can think, someone who could crack. Mayweather's getting older, not younger, so it could be a good fight. However, I don't know that they'd be anxious to make the fight because Keith Thurman hasn't really built his brand to the point where he's a household name. So I don't know how that would do. A lot of people say they want to see these fights like, oh, Erislandy Lara. I don't know. Some of you guys are fickle. A lot of people say they want to see him fight Keith Thurman's or the Erislandy Lara. But how many of you guys would actually pay your pay-per-view dollar to see those fights? I really feel like a lot of people talk shit about Marcos Maidana or Amir Khan. Like, oh, Maidana, he's too slow. He's too flat-footed. Another flat-footed opponent for Mayweather. Oh, Amir Khan, he doesn't deserve it. Which I agree. He doesn't deserve it. He hasn't put himself at welterweight in a position to deserve that fight. But it could be interesting based on his style, yet he doesn't deserve it. So that's his, like, conundrum, if you will. And the thing is, I feel like a lot of people type these comments and they'll say whatever to save face, knowing damn well if Mayweather fought Amir Khan or Marcos Maidana, a lot of you guys would be more inclined to pay for that, not stream it, but actually pay for it on pay-per-view than if he were to fight Erislandy Lara or if he were to fight Keith Thurman. Maybe not Keith Thurman, but, well, actually, maybe even Keith Thurman, because a lot of people don't even know Keith Thurman, that aside from the real boxing fans and the people who follow it week after week after week. But some of you casual fans, I don't think you guys would even fork out the money to pay for it. So it's kind of, Mayweather's in a very sensitive position where no matter what he does, no matter what choice he makes, it's the wrong choice. If he chooses Amir Khan, then he's ducking Maidana, because Maidana killed his boy, his little brother, Adrian Broner, and he's scared of the power. If he chooses Maidana, then it's another flat-footed, slow fighter, and Amir Khan has the speed to challenge him and outbox him in the range, so he's afraid of Amir Khan. So realistically, there's no win with Floyd. I agree with that. You know, I mean, critics are always going to be harsh because he's the guy that's hung around the sport so long and been on top for so long. But I do think he also has that Napoleon Complex in the sense of he has the power because he's the highest grossing athlete on earth and he's been in the sport so long. So I'm not saying he hasn't worked for it, because he has. Anytime you've dedicated 18 years of your life doing anything, I would say if you're a pilot and you've been a pilot 18 years or a cop for 18 years, I would definitely say you paid your dues. As a cop, if you worked on the force for 18 years, I guarantee you there's been various stops and life-threatening positions and different situations you've encountered during those 18 years. And that's what comes with experience. So I'm not saying he hasn't paid his due, but I do think he does go over the top sometimes. And sometimes he baits the fan and like really plays with their heartstring, probably more than he even needs to do. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. You're the number one guy. You're the number one pound for pound dude, number one pay-per-view. You hold records. But how long do we have to fucking wait? Which is why I made this picture, which is the default. This is the new movie starring Floyd Mayweather. It's called Waiting. And it's obviously a parody of the Ryan Reynolds movie Waiting. But that's all we're doing. We're fucking waiting around, wasting away. And there's other great fights out there. It's just like, it's borderline getting to the point where you would want to announce who you're going to fight because people are going to start losing interest. Like, you're not going to, especially me, I don't know about some of you guys, but I don't know, maybe I have ADD. My attention span's not going to be there, but I'm a pretty patient dude in most situations. But if it's bullshit, I'm not going to be patient for it. So, I mean, there's too many great fights. Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao Part 2, that's one of my top fights that I really want to see. The other day I did a video saying that was the top fight, but now Sergio Martinez and Cotto was announced, so that's high up there too. But I would still say Timothy Bradley versus Manny Pacquiao is my number one fight that has been finalized and announced. And that's basically based on how both fighters looked in their last fight, based on the controversy in the first fight. But there's other great fights like Martinez and Cotto, which was recently announced. And if you look at the top earners in the sport of boxing, we all know who they're fighting, minus Floyd Mayweather. We don't definitively know. We could speculate, oh, it's Maidana, but we don't know. Khan pulled himself out of the loop, he feels, maybe based on his talk with Golden Boy, because he was supposed to link up with Golden Boy to discuss his future. So that's what he feels, but we really don't truly know. Canelo, we know he's fighting next month. He's fighting Angulo. Pacquiao, Bradley, they're fighting each other in a rematch. Great fight. We know that Miguel Cotto, Sergio Martinez, two future Hall of Famers, we know they're fighting each other. Again, the only person we don't really know, we even know Bernard Hopkins' next opponent. I think that was announced today. So we know everyone else's opponents. Nonito Donaire, I believe he's likely to fight. So really the big dogs in boxing we know, minus Floyd Mayweather. So it just gets to a point of ridiculousness, like Rob Dyrdek, where we're just sitting around waiting, like it's going to lose its luster and quick, at least for me, because I don't want to wait. I just want to know who he's fighting. And as far as the poll, I mean, what was the point? You had 50,000 plus fans vote or whatever, and it didn't even matter win, lose, or draw who won. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm not too big on games. If I want games, I'll go to Dave and Buster's. That's just my opinion. So I think Mayweather, at times, he takes his power to another level, and he really tries to power play people. He really tries to manipulate and do things that is not even necessary in the sport of boxing. This is boxing, not WWE. So realistically, just make the fight. Fight whoever you want to fight. Pick who you want to pick, like normal, and let's fight. And I don't recall a Mayweather fight that has taken this long where we've just been like in the dark about it. Ricky Hatton, Mosley, Victor Ortiz, we kind of knew these fights were coming to place, like from the early talks to them actually being official and signed. It's like the fans had some inkling of what was going on. Now it's just like, you want us to pay pay-per-view dollars for your next fight, yet you can't even give us the decency to tell us who the fuck you're fighting and make it quick when your fight is only a couple months away. So could be a plan that backfires for Mayweather, to be honest. If he played this game, his poll was useless, he wasted the time of the voters, you know what I mean? If that's not the case, if the winner didn't get, you know what I mean? Don't do a poll and it doesn't matter. That's like me playing the lottery and then I score the winning numbers and they're like, oh yeah, you still didn't win. Even though you had the correct numbers, you didn't win because we didn't want you to win. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like a waste of time. So yeah, like I said, it could backfire against Mayweather in the sense that he's waiting so long and cutting it so close that You expected people to buy the pay-per-view, to buy tickets to your show, and to come out to your press conferences, and you're taking this long. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he announces soon. Let me know what you guys think. Does Floyd Mayweather have Napoleon's complex? I also noticed it with his father. His father, the way he talked to his father in the 24/7, he's like, "Get the fuck out of my gym, faggot." Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that necessary to talk to your? That's another reason. Like, I would never disrespect my pops like that, just out of respect. You know what I mean? Like, I've been pissed at my dad or whatever, but I'm not gonna do all that. And, like, you know what I mean? The man that brought me into this world, like, question his masculinity, call him a faggot and all that. It's just not me. So that's another example, quick example of how I've seen Mayweather kind of power play. Like, okay, it's your gym, you built this, but at the same time, would you not be, or would you even be in the sport if it wasn't for your pops? You got to look at stuff like that, especially when you talk to people. You're calling them a faggot, but realistically, he's accredited as getting his brothers, Roger and Jeff, into boxing and getting the family into boxing. And without him fucking your mom, without him getting into boxing, would there even be a Floyd Mayweather Jr. with all this money, the Las Vegas gym, and everything else? I'm not saying that Floyd Sr. is solely responsible, but boxing is in your genetics, and you gotta pay homage to the man that started that. So calling him a faggot, really. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.